Today marks the 19th anniversary of the 9/11 terror attacks. We've got to look at the ways people across the country and in our community are honoring the fallen.
A shooting investigation leading police to a stolen truck, how they were able to figure out who that vehicle belongs to.
And the sun is starting to shine over South Texas once again. So just how warm will it be this weekend? I'll have your forecast coming up.
Live from KSAT 12. The news at noon starts right now.
A call about gunshots in a southeast side neighborhood, opening up a whole different kind of investigation for San Antonio police.
They are not only trying to solve a shooting case, but also one involving a stolen work truck.
Katrina Weber shows us the pickup belongs to a well-known company.
Police search a pickup for information that people here in the 800 block of Channing won't tell them. The outside of that truck, though, gave off the first clue, signs of a missing sign. Officers later determined it belongs to CPS Energy, stolen from the utility company last month. The truck caught their attention early this morning while they were answering a different kind of call, one about gunshots in this area.
The alarm went off 6:30 in the morning. We heard 2 shots in the morning. Other than that, we looked outside, didn't see anything going on.
J.R. Cruz was surprised later when he saw police cars and then an ambulance pull up.
We have a bedroom right there in the corner, so of course we hear everything. It's like if it's right next door to us.
Police say it turns out a man in that same house across from Cruz's had been shot in the foot. He says by someone in a passing car.
Got nothing but older people. It's active during Halloween. Everybody gets along with each other, so to see something like this is out of the ordinary.
The man with the gunshot wound was taken to a hospital for treatment, but police say he wasn't telling them much of anything, including how this truck ended up in his driveway. A representative from CPS Energy showed up to reclaim it. Police say the truck's battery and other items were removed as if someone were stripping it for parts. Now, thanks to an unrelated call, they got it all back where it belongs. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
A driver will not be facing charges after hitting and killing a man last night. Officers say it happened just after 10 last night in the 3900 block of Southeast Military. Police say a man was in the middle of a lane near Fair Lawn Drive when the driver of a truck hit him. Officers tell us the driver did see the man, but he was not able to stop in time. The victim pronounced dead at the scene. The driver pulled over and tried to help, so he will not be charged.
A Bexar County Sheriff's Office deputy who died in a car crash near Corpus Christi last month laid to rest today. The services for Noah Calderon started with a public viewing at 9:30 this morning at the Miracle Center. That was followed by a funeral service. Calderon died alongside his fiancee in a crash on August 12th at Highway 188 in Farm to Market Road 796 between Sinton and Mathis. An 18-wheeler collided with their vehicle, which was also carrying Calderon's younger brother, who was injured and airlifted to a San Antonio hospital.
We continue to see a downward trend in COVID-19 cases in Bexar County.
69 new cases reported. There were also 9 new deaths. The city says this happened between September 1st and yesterday. Also reported yesterday, we have 284 people in the hospital, 128 in the intensive care unit, and 80 people on ventilators. A new state-run COVID-19 testing site in Bexar County will open up 7 days a week. Testing is free at the site, and you don't have to register. And this one is set up at Los Palmos Library on Casterville Road. They are administering an oral swab test there. Testing begins every day at 9 in the morning and lasts till 6 in the evening. More test sites like these are expected, and we'll let you know when they are announced.
Nearly 2 decades ago, the deadliest attack on U.S. soil since the bombing of Pearl Harbor, shocking the entire world. And today, all across our community, efforts to honor those who lost their lives during the 9/11 terror attacks here in San Antonio. A large group of first responders usually gears up to climb the stairs at the Tower of the Americas. This year, the solemn event was mostly virtual. This year, participants joined in via Zoom. 2 first responders did complete the climb, a firefighter and a police officer. Organizers say events like this one help to make sure that younger people know the importance of this date.
Our event allows them to also kind of get a better glimpse at that and remember how important that day was and that it's something worthy of never forgetting.
The two people who completed the climb gave everyone in the Zoom meeting a view from inside the Tower of the Americas. And downtown this morning, a 21-gun salute ringing out. It was part of a brief ceremony held by the San Antonio Police Department and the San Antonio Fire Department in front of Public Safety Headquarters. It's one way that fire departments across the area have found safe alternatives to remember the fallen on September 11th.
Another event like this one at D.W. Rutledge Stadium in Converse this morning. A private stair climb hosted by the Converse Fire Department was held. Our Alicia Barrera was there. She explains how these first responders thought outside of the box in order to make sure no one forgets the heroes from 9/11.
19 years ago, 343 first responders went into active chaos to save lives. And today, Converse Fire, Converse Police, and Judson ISD Police say they're here to finish the flight. The flight of 110 stairs at the World Trade Center to honor those who died. The private event took place at the D.W. Rutledge Stadium and began with the voices of those who we mourn and honor today.
United 175 New York, we have some problems over here right now. We might have a hijack over here, 2 of them.
About 10 Converse firefighters and 15 officers from the Converse Police Department and Judson ISD Police Department dressed in full gear to begin their climb. Also joining them to show his respect and appreciation was the mayor of Converse, Al Suarez.
Chief Glasscoat, Ladder 21, City of New York. It's about the person next to you when you're put in danger. You know, having a former Desert Storm veteran the same way, you know, brings back a lot of memories, brings back, it gives me a feeling of what the firefighters are feeling, you know, and you know, I'll do it with them, you know, and I did train to get, you know, to do this, and I look forward to it and with honor. You know, this is a special day for the firefighters.
First responders here today say, of course, it's an emotional day, but they also shared with me how grateful they are to have a city leader climb with them and to have the honor to help people every day.
We are thinking about each one of those firefighters and what was going on in their head and the bravery and the courage it took to just put caution to the wind and just use everything they had to drive forward and go through.
Converse Fire Chief Valdez says he's grateful that they were forced to think outside the box. And today they were able to stay true to their promise of never forgetting those heroes who died on 9/11 19 years ago. He hopes to make this an annual event for community members here in Converse. Reporting Alicia Barrera, KSAT 12 News.
Seems like across the country, more and more people are getting back to work. But how does our community look in terms of jobs, small businesses, and our biggest industries? And there are a lot of question marks. And that's why Sunday morning at 8 o'clock, President and CEO of the San Antonio Chamber of Commerce, Richard Perez, joins us live on Leading SA. We will be discussing the current economic situation in and around San Antonio and how it affects you and what's next. If you have any questions you'd like asked, head to Leading SA section of KSAT.com right now. We've got an entire Submit Your Questions section, and your questions could be chosen to be asked Sunday morning. Still to come this half hour, Dak Prescott revealed something very personal and emotional this week. More on that coming up in sports.
And other parts of the country are remembering the 9/11 terror attacks today. We're going to take a look at some of those ceremonies after the break.
All across the country, ceremonies commemorating the September 11 attacks.
And this year, they've looked a little bit different due to the coronavirus pandemic. ABC's Rena Roy has a look.
19 years later, the pain is still palpable. Oh, say, can you see? The ceremonies across the nation look a little different this year because of the coronavirus pandemic, but the pledge to never forget the worst terror attack in our country's history lives on.
There's no way you could have done it like you usually do. But you know, that doesn't matter because I'm here, the memorial is here, and it's okay.
In New York City, several moments of silence at Ground Zero in Lower Manhattan, amongst the socially distanced loved ones and politicians. Nearly 3,000 names read aloud by family members.
Christopher, Noble, and Gracia.
This year, the annual reading pre-recorded at the official commemoration ceremony, where former Vice President Joe Biden and Vice President Pence both paid their respects. Blocks away shortly after, an alternate event where names were read in person.
Michael Boyle.
And Vice President Pence recited a prayer.
The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want.
And in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, President Trump honoring the men and women who died on Flight 93.
Today we pay tribute to their sacrifice, and we mourn deeply for the nearly 3,000 precious and beautiful souls who were taken from us.
Meantime, in Washington, D.C., a wreath-laying ceremony to remember those who were killed at the Pentagon.
19 years later, the terror attacks on 9/11 still claiming lives, with multiple deaths from 9/11 related illnesses in the last year. Those victims are also being honored on this emotional day. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Good air, 76 degrees outside, still.
It's still pretty cool out there, Katie.
Not too shabby. We've still got a good amount of cloud cover as well. But you may have noticed already today we're seeing a little bit more sunshine, and that clearing trend will continue into this afternoon. It'll be the 80s today, and warming trend continues into the weekend. So I hope you enjoyed our little taste of some cooler weather. The aquifer is up another 0.6 of a foot today to 662.7. And in the pollen count, fall elm was high yesterday, but it swapped places with mold. So mold is our problem allergen today with a high count of 1,200. Fall elm low today with a count of 80. I'll be right back with a look at your weekend forecast.
Yesterday we were laughing about all the ladies pulled the boots out of the back of the closet.
Where'd they go?
Yeah, it's fall, and we're back in flip-flops for the weekend.
I will say, first time wearing those in several months, my feet hurt yesterday. I don't know about you, Ursula. But, yeah.
I agree.
Wow.
I had to change out of them.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you broke them in the one day, and so next time you'll be
that'd be a little
more
better.
ready.
Well, how long are we going to have to wait for that next day?
That is the question. I don't have any cooler air in the planning forecast, so I hope you enjoyed yesterday. And this morning. This morning was pretty pleasant, so that's nice. And really, it's not too uncomfortable out there right now, but we're already warmer right now than we were all day yesterday. A little bit of sunshine there shining on downtown. So we'll continue to clear out this afternoon. Back to the 90s this weekend, so feeling a lot warmer. And a few thunder showers work back into the forecast on Sunday. Don't expect rain to be an issue today or tomorrow, but rain chances will gradually start to kick back in toward the end of the weekend. What you're seeing on satellite and radar now, some gradual breaks in this cloud cover. Radar is picking up on, I think, what's mostly a little bit of ground clutter there off to our east. Really no measurable rain out there at this time. There have been a couple of quick moving fleeting showers out there this morning, but for the most part, not much rain out there on radar right now. 77 in San Antonio right now. We just jumped up to 77. Still in the 60s off to the west of 35. Even holding on to the 50s for a little longer in Rock Springs. We're sitting at 59 degrees. As far as high temperatures today, we should be in the low to mid 80s in and around San Antonio and along I-35. A few spots that clear out quicker down closer to the coast could be closer to 90 this afternoon. Up in the hill country, mid to upper 70s. So spots that were limited to the 50s and 60s yesterday will be back up in the 70s, closer to 80 this afternoon. Futurecast does show clearing continuing. It's a little early. We're not seeing as much sun as what this is indicating, but I just want to show you that this continues to show a gradual clearing of our skies through the day today. So any Friday night football games this evening, we'll see partly cloudy to mostly clear skies, but rain should not be an issue. And overall, fairly comfortable, around 80 at kickoff. By halftime, temperatures will be falling down into the mid to upper 70s. Sunset this evening at 7:43 p.m. So still a good amount of cloud cover elsewhere across Texas. A little bit of lingering rain up closer to San Angelo and then in far north Texas there. This big spin you can see on satellite and radar, that's the upper level low pressure system that pushed that front or helped to push that front down into South Texas this week. It is going to continue to move east and away, taking a lot of the good rain making energy with it, which is why we'll see rain chances fall off for a couple of days. But for our next chance of rain, we've got to go farther south and east into the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic. There's a couple areas here of some shower and thunderstorm activity that the National Hurricane Center is keeping a close close eye on here. This one that's a little bit closer to us here in Texas has low odds of development over the next 2 to 5 days. By odds of development, I mean becoming at least a tropical depression, an organized tropical system. But that system that's still off to the east of Florida, that has higher odds of development over the next 2 to 5 days. And here's how the Hurricane Center expects this to play out. This system a little bit closer to home should dive down to the south, but it actually could toss us some moisture for some rain by early next week. That system east of Florida should drift into the eastern Gulf and could affect the central Gulf Coast as we get into the early and middle part of next week. So just a reminder that we are still in hurricane season here, and we're keeping a close eye on the tropics. There's actually a couple of named systems out in the middle of the Atlantic and a lot more going on in the tropics. And I'll have a full overview of what's going on in the Atlantic Basin coming up next half hour. It is busy out there. We've been so focused on that cold front this week that the tropics have kind of taken a back seat, but we're going to get back into the groove of looking at the tropics here very shortly. For the rest of your Friday, up to the low to mid 80s this afternoon with skies gradually clearing out. It'll be nice and hot this weekend with high temperatures in the low 90s. And next week, early next week especially, looks like another good scattering of some showers and storms for us. So good news there, guys.
Thank you, Kate.
Still coming up, the Cowboys getting some injured guys back just in time for their season opener. And the Texans and Chiefs opened the season last night, and the result looked familiar.
Pro football coverage powered by Davis Law Firm.
Dallas Cowboy quarterback Dak Prescott getting very personal this week, admitting that he suffered from anxiety and depression following the suicide of his older brother Jace. It happened back in April. Prescott getting high praise for speaking about it publicly. Prescott, who is about to start his 5th season in a Cowboys uniform, made the revelation during an interview with the syndicated broadcast In Depth with Graham Benzinger. Prescott added his brother was under such a burden after being the main caregiver for their mother, who died of cancer back in 2013. Yesterday, he talked about that decision to seek help during this offseason.
If you're not mentally healthy, if you're not thinking the right way, then you're not going to be able to lead people the right way. So before I can lead, I've got to make sure that my mind's in the right place to do that and lead people to where they want to be. So I think that's important, to be vulnerable, to be genuine, and to be transparent. And I think that goes a long way when you're a leader and when your voice is being heard by so many and you can inspire.
Cowboys are about to kick off their season Sunday night, so why not some good news? Wide receiver Amari Cooper has been battling hamstring issues. He joined a few other teammates hitting the practice field yesterday. Safety Xavier Woods had groin issues. He was out there. Cornerback Chidobe Awazu, knee problems, also practicing at full participation. You may remember DeMarcus Lawrence considered opting out of the season due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but since only 6 Cowboy players have tested positive since the health crisis started, he and teammate Zach Martin are pleasantly surprised the season is starting on time.
I was really, thinking about like, man, like we ain't gonna have, no preseason games. They're gonna probably try to cancel the season, like as soon as we get done with training camp. But now all those butterflies are out my body, and I'm pretty confident about, starting this season and finishing it.
After getting in here and kind of getting in the routine of training camp and being here all day and spending time getting ready for the season, you just kind of lock into a normal year. Today was like a normal Wednesday. We came in, had our meetings, had our practice, just finished up our afternoon meeting. So it's starting to feel a lot more like game week.
All right, with good news, there always has to be some bad news. Quarterback Jordan Lewis is still recovering from a high ankle sprain that he suffered in training camp. The 2020 season kicked off last night. The Houston Texans started the season inside the locker room during the singing of the national anthem. On the other side of the field, the Chiefs were on their sideline. Only one player knelt in protest of social injustice. The Texans got off to a nice start in the rematch with the defending Super Bowl champs. And why not let a little new guy score the first touchdown? New Texan David Johnson came to Houston that controversial trade for DeAndre Hopkins. Chiefs answered quickly behind the highest paid player in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes first with a 6-yard TD to Travis Kelce, and then it's Mahomes again, this time a 2-yard TD toss to Sammy Watkins. And the Chiefs are up 17-7 at the half. When Watson did try and throw, he wasn't getting enough protection. That looks familiar. And his receivers were not providing separation. As a result, picked off by L'Jarius Sneed. Looks like he's going to go back all the way, but he's forced out of bounds, and that leads to this. Mahomes' 3rd TD of the night. Tyreek Hill on the money, sidearmed. 31 unanswered points for the Chiefs. Yes, it all sounds familiar and looks familiar. 34-20. But Patrick Mahomes looked good.
Well, everybody was thinking that this first game was going to be pretty messy.
Pretty messy. There's a couple, but it wasn't too bad.
Really?
Yeah, it looked pretty good. So.
All right. We'll see if they can keep it up.
Yeah.
New today at 5. When you grab takeout, you're probably focused on the food, not the packaging. But testing shows popular chains may be serving potentially toxic chemicals in the packaging of your burgers, fries, and even your salads. 12 on your side's Marilyn Moritz reports on these so-called forever chemicals that you might be eating. It's today at 5 after Entertainment Tonight. Northern California's wildfire has become the state's deadliest blaze of the year, with at least 10 people confirmed dead. This as searchers look for 16 more missing people. ABC's Matt Gutman has more.
That emergency declaration is still in effect in Portland, and with several of these dozens of fires burning across the state beginning to converge, what we're seeing firefighters do is pull back, retrench their lines. What they're so concerned about is seeing this again. They don't want more loss of lives and loss of property and people's homes. Now, law enforcement did an incredible job here in and around Medford, pulling most of the people out. But there have, of course, been multiple fatalities here, and they expect the death toll here to rise. Now, one of the major concerns is the air quality. In and around Portland and Salem, it is more than twice the level considered hazardous. And here in Medford, you can see it's about 306 AQI, which is also considered hazardous. This is why officials across the state are telling people, stay home if you can. You don't want to breathe this air unless you have to, especially if you have any sort of health conditions. Matt Gutman, ABC News, Phoenix, Oregon.
Attorneys for the 4 former Minneapolis police officers charged in the death of George Floyd are now asking that each client have their own trial. The attorneys say the reason is due to the officers each trying to diminish their roles in the black man's death and pointing fingers at the other. Prosecutors want all 4 officers, though, tried together, saying the same evidence will stand for all 4. The former officer is scheduled to appear in court today on a hearing on several issues, including the defense request to move the trial away from Minneapolis, to sequester the jury, and to keep the jurors anonymous.
President Donald Trump defending himself after those allegations that he lied to the American people after admitting to downplaying the coronavirus. Those comments can be heard on a recording from journalist Bob Woodward. The president has since said that he was just trying to avoid creating a panic across the country. He reiterated his stance at a briefing at the White House.
Why did you lie to the American people, and why should we trust what you have to say now?
Such a terrible question, and the phraseology. I didn't lie. What I said is we have to be calm. I said it's a very serious problem. And it's always a serious problem. That doesn't mean I'm going to jump up and down in the air and start saying people are going to die.
The president also said this about Bob Woodward.
If Bob Woodward thought what I said was bad, then he should have immediately, right after I said it, gone out to the authorities so they can prepare and let them know.
Now, in an interview on CBS's 60 Minutes, Woodward says it's the president who's accountable to the American people. And Joe Biden, who's running against the president in the upcoming election, said he believes the president mishandled the entire situation, saying that downplaying the seriousness of the virus, quote, caused people to die, end quote.
Today marking 6 months since the World Health Organization declared a global pandemic, and it's still going strong. 23 states still seeing an increase in coronavirus cases. The CDC now projecting that by the start of October, the nationwide death toll could reach 217,000 deaths. Dr. Anthony Fauci continues to encourage people not to underestimate the virus.
Don't ever underestimate the potential of the pandemic, and don't try and look at the rosy side of things.
Meantime, college campuses continue struggling to contain the spread. At Miami University of Ohio, cases climbed by 1,000 in just 2 weeks. Some students from the University of Wisconsin-Madison are choosing to pack up and head home instead of quarantining in their dorms. This after all in-person classes were canceled for at least 2 weeks.
The Food and Drug Administration has given itself a bad score when it comes to understanding coronavirus data. The FDA started looking at sources like patient records and billing claims to learn about the natural history of coronavirus in March. The exercise showed the network of peer reviewers who can assess the data is limited. The FDA ended up turning to the private sector in a partnership called Evidence Accelerator, which helped determine hydroxychloroquine was not an effective COVID-19 treatment.
Microsoft says a series of Russian, Chinese, and Iranian cyber attacks have been, quote, detected and stopped. The company says hackers targeted people and organizations involved in the upcoming presidential election, including unsuccessful attacks on people associated with both the Trump and the Biden campaigns. The warning from Microsoft comes as a former senior Department of Homeland Security official complained that the Trump administration minimized Russian meddling attempts.
Outside with live cam, it's still cool outside, and two indicators that we had some pretty good rain this week. One is there's still a couple of puddles around, and two, the grass is green and growing.
Yes, that is a very good thing. Very good thing. Love to see it. And rain chances, they drop out for a couple of days, but they'll kick back in early next week. So not a bad looking forecast. Certainly not going to be as cool as what we've been treated to the past day or so, but this morning, not too bad. Our low temperatures were nearly 10 degrees below average here in San Antonio, 63. Our morning low at the airport, our average this time of year is 71. Few folks starting the day in the 50s. We're already warmer right now than we were all day yesterday, up to 77 at the airport, some low 70s in the hill country. Everyone will be warming up more. Even compared to this time yesterday, our temperatures are around 10 to 15 degrees warmer in many spots. A big reason for that is the clearing that's already underway. We'll see some gradual clearing for the rest of the day, setting us up for a warmer afternoon. Yes, a high temperature in the low to mid 80s, but a pretty pleasant evening. We'll see our temperatures fall back down into the 70s under partly cloudy to mostly clear skies. So some good weather for our football games taking place this evening. And if you're tempted to get the car washed after the rain this week, and you should be for good reason, my car is a mess. I do want to caution you, we do have rain chances kicking back in on Sunday, but more so early next week, Monday and Tuesday. Some scattered showers and storms are in the forecast. We'll talk more about those rain chances and take a look at what's going on in the tropics coming up in just a bit. Guys.
Thank you, Katie. Time running out to fill out the 2020 U.S. Census, and our KSAT community partners want to make sure that you have all of the resources that you need to get it done. That's why KSAT Community is partnering with the Complete Count Committee tomorrow for a census call-a-thon. Only about 65% of people living in Bexar County have filled out their census. The survey helps our community get federal funding and representation in Congress. So if you have any questions, you can call the phone number that is on your screen. It's tomorrow from 10 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. You can also find more information on KSAT.com. I guess on KSAT.com you can get that phone number. I don't see a phone number. Nope. Joe Exotic, a.k.a. the Tiger King, is asking President Donald Trump for a favor. Just ahead, details on the move his legal team has already made after he was locked up for a murder-for-hire plot.
And a 4-year-old is breathing new life into some classic films by recreating some of the famous lines. How the project is helping raise money for charity. Still ahead.
NASA ready to pay some big bucks for rocks and dirt that come from the moon, while they're asking companies to place bids in order to help them mine the moon for resources.
Never miss a story. Watch live or when you want. San Antonio's latest news and weather, streaming free on KSAT TV.
Hello everyone, this is your daily tech and business briefing from Cheddar. NASA is looking for help to get its mission to get people back on the moon, as the space agency announcing they're going to pay companies to collect rocks and dirt from the moon all within the next 4 years. Now, under the terms of that contract, companies interested would collect samples from the moon, provide imagery, and even data on where they found it. Meanwhile, you might not be able to cheer your favorite football team in person right now, but Microsoft Teams making it so you can show your team spirit from the comfort of your own home. Microsoft partnering with the NFL NFL to launch fan cheering sections throughout their team's video chat app that allows fans to cheer alongside players and other fans. And the world's top gamer known as Ninja is returning to Twitch. The 29-year-old launching an exclusive multi-year partnership with the streaming platform, leaving Facebook and Microsoft behind. And Ninja says he took his time deciding which platform was the best for him. He came to the conclusion that Twitch was the most supportive and understanding of his overall career goals. And that's Cheddar Business and Tech Update. I'm Baker Machado, coming to you from Cheddar Studios in Lower Manhattan.
In Comfort, Texas, the annual art festival is still gonna happen. Paintings, jewelry, textiles, much more. It's going to be on full display from 10 in the morning until 4 p.m. next Saturday, not this Saturday, next Saturday. Everything will be displayed outside of restaurants, boutiques, specialty stores, and antique shops throughout the downtown area there. More than a dozen artists are going to be participating in the event. If you plan to attend, organizers want to remind everyone to practice social distancing and to wear face coverings. And we need to know what the weather is going to be like because everything's going to be outside.
It should be warm. I don't see another front coming through before next weekend, so it should be on the warmer side. As far as rain goes, we actually have some good chances of rain that will kick in early next weekend. We'll have to see, but hopefully the weather is nice so you can get out and support those artists there in Comfort. The aquifer is up a little bit more than half a foot since yesterday to 662.7, and in the pollen count, mold may be giving you some issues today. It's been moderate the past couple of days, but finally jumped up into high territory today. Fall elm, that's been pretty elevated this week, is finally low with a count of 80. More on what your weekend holds in a tropics update coming up next.
So the crack staff in the back, the research department, my own personal research department.
A crew of one.
Well, actually, it was Justin Horn this morning. There's only 4 names left on the list for hurricanes or tropical storms.
I keep telling them they need to add a U name. They need an Ursula.
Okay.
They might need it.
I'll let them know.
Yeah.
A lot of people have asked, after we get through these names on this list, what happens? Well, then we go to the Greek alphabet. And that did happen back in 2000.
That's not fair. They need to add a U.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to start the petition.
Okay. Oh, I'll support you. Yeah, so if we get past Wilfred this year, then we go to the Greek alphabet. And that did happen back in 2005. And the way this season has been, we will have to see. While we have been really focused on our cold front here in South Texas, the tropics have been busy. Out in the Atlantic, we've got Paulette and Renee. And then look off on the right-hand side of your screen, closer to the coast of Africa. There are 2 systems that the Hurricane Center has pegged of having a 40 and then a 90% chance of development over the next 2 to 5 days. So chances of those systems becoming at least a tropical depression. And then meanwhile, you get a little bit closer to home, and we did take a look at this over the last half hour. My clicker is giving me big time issues. This graphic did not want to work. But closer to home, we've got 2 areas of potential development that the Hurricane Center is watching. One that's off to the east, closer to South Florida, and one that's a bit closer to us here in Texas, but don't be overly alarmed. This one here has lower odds of development over the next 2 to 5 days. It's actually expected to drop down to the southwest, but should toss us a little bit of moisture early next week to help us out with rain chances. We're looking at water vapor imagery here, so you'll see more blue and purple with this system. That's indicating it has some deeper moisture associated with it, and so it looks a bit better, a bit healthier, if you will. So it does have higher odds of development over the next 2 to 5 days. Should jump into the eastern Gulf this weekend and could affect the central Gulf Coast early next week. But again, it's that system that's a little bit closer to the Texas Gulf Coast that will actually toss us a little bit of moisture. It'll be pretty far south of us, but it'll toss us some moisture early next week, and that'll help us out with some scattered showers and storms returning to the forecast Monday into Tuesday. So we will take a little bit of a break as far as rain chances are concerned over the next couple of days, but they'll kick back in early next week. Already up to 80 in New Braunfels, 77 here in San Antonio. We are really starting to see some clearing along and east of 35, and skies will continue to clear across the board this afternoon. So we're looking at high temperatures, low to mid 80s and then around San Antonio, a few degrees cooler than that west of 35 because you guys will be the last to clear out this afternoon, but bottom line, you'll start to see more sun out there today. Light northeasterly winds about 5 to 10 miles per hour, and overall this evening for our football games, it's looking pretty pleasant. We'll have temperatures in the 70s. It certainly could be way warmer than that, so we will take it. Looking ahead to your weekend, upper 60s tomorrow morning, low 90s in the afternoon. A pretty quiet day tomorrow. As we get into Sunday, low and rain chances start to kick back in. I think there'll be a better chance of some thunder showers down closer to the coast. Another hot day with high temperatures in the low to mid 90s. I also can't rule out a little bit of patchy fog to start the day tomorrow morning, so just keep that in mind, but it should burn off pretty quickly. Here's how your low temperatures will start off tomorrow for your Saturday. Low 70s on the coast, mid to upper 60s up in the hill country, and then tomorrow afternoon, more of us will see high temperatures back in the 90s, so bye-bye to that cooler air for now. Upper 80s in the hill country for your Saturday afternoon. Again, a coastal thunder shower is in the cards as we get into Sunday. Better chances of scattered showers and storms for more of us as we get into the early part of next week. We'll keep you updated on everything that's going on in the tropics over the next couple of days. We also have the KSAT hurricane page on our website, and you can keep tabs on those many systems in the Atlantic basin anytime you like. Visit that webpage, guys.
So the next one is Sally.
Sally, yep.
Okay, I like Sally. A 4-year-old making a name for herself by recreating famous movie scenes online. How she and her dad make home movie magic. All for a good cause after the break.